Alrighty, section 2.1 of Pre-Al. Here you go. We have vocab that we need to review. It should be review. We've done it before, but just kind of make yourself a little note, like be careful for vocab. Two terms here, both congruent and corresponding. Congruent means the same size and the same shape. Okay, same size and shape. We've talked about that before. The symbol for congruent, you can write an equal sign with a little squiggle on top. So that means congruent. Corresponding just means like the same position, like the matching angles, like it says, or the matching sides. So for instance, these angles B and E, if I put one shape on top of the other, they're going to be exactly the same sides. They match up. Same with the sides. Going on down to examples. To name corresponding, okay, those are the matching angles and sides, we are going to write what we call a congruent statement. And we'll use this a lot throughout this section and possibly the chapter. So a congruent statement basically just helps you match up all the sides. It makes it easy. So you look at your first shape and just pick one. Normally, they're going to be nice to you, and as you go around the figure, they're going to put it in alphabetical order. This one they did. So A, B, C, D. So we write that A, B, C, D is congruent. So that one should be an equals with a squiggle on top. 2, and then you check this one out. And this one's easy. You're probably right now like, I don't need to write this. I can see it. I agree on this one, but if this are turned the other way or flipped upside down, like we'll talk about in a minute. So you can see A matches up with W, so you write that first. And then we went A, B, so W, X, and then come on around Y and Z. And like I said, you might think, oh, I didn't need to write that. I can clearly see it. I agree on this one, but get used to these. They are helpful. Now, to name the corresponding angles, let's make ourselves a little place for this. We write the angle sign out front. So angle A is congruent to angle W. And you can look at the picture in this case. If they were flipped, it's way easier to look over here. This first letter is congruent to that first letter. Angle B is congruent to angle X. Second one, second letter. Angle C, third letter, is congruent to angle Y, third letter. Fourth letter, angle D, and fourth angle is congruent to angle Z. So if you make these, you can just match it up first to first, second to second. As far as sides, it takes 2 letters to name a side. So we're going to start with side A, B, put a little line segment on top of that. Side AB is congruent to WX. Put a line on top of that because that's a line segment. So AB, first 2 letters, congruent to first 2 letters over here. And then keep going. BC, which is the second and third letters, are congruent to XY. You can look at your shape over here. I think it's just easier to look right here. Then go on to the next one. CD is congruent to YZ. Last 2 letters, last 2 letters. And then last side, come back around to the beginning. DA is congruent to, I went last letter first, so here to ZW. Don't switch those around. If you're going to go from the fourth letter to the first, like DA, you go ZW, not W and then Z. All right, so that's that. You're going to do this on your own. I'm going to help you get started. Name the corresponding parts. So we're going to be doing that same thing. Let's make a space here for your angles. Let's make a space here for your sides. We're going to write our congruent statement. So I told you up above that a lot of times they'll let you do this in alphabetical order. So let's look at this one, J, K, L, M, N. Yep, that's alphabetical order. So let's write this one, J, K, L, M, N is congruent to. Now, look at this one. This one's flipped from this one or reflected. So it may not be in alphabetical order. In fact, this one's not. So if you see this jutting out this way, this J which part of this shape seems to be sticking out like that? Like if you put these on top of each other, you'd have to flip this over. So this one starts with S. Okay, the beginning of the alphabet would have had us starting at Q. So there are times they do not both get written in alphabetical order. So pick one, try to write it in alphabetical, make this one match. So from J to K, we went up here. So we started at S. We will also go up here to R. And then you just carry on around your shape since we just went in an order around this one. So this one goes S, R, and then you need to finish that out. And then go ahead and list your angles here like we did up above. You've got 5 angles. You also have 5 sides. Take care to put all of the correct markings. Flip her over. On this side, we are still talking about congruent figures. This one has triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. This one's talking more about the different markings you might see. So on the side, you can see 1 slash or hash mark here and 1 here. That would mean if, say, this one was 5 centimeters, this is also 5 centimeters because it has the 1 hash. Or 2 hashes on this and 2 on this means that those 2 sides are congruent. Same with the 3. Same thing with the angles. So if you see 1 arc inside of here and 1 arc here, it means that angle B is corresponding to angle E and also congruent. Okay, they're also going to be the same size and shape. So identify the congruent figure to A. Well, it has to be B. They're both squares, right? Nope, that's not true. Remember, we are looking for the same size and shape when something is congruent. On your homework, you'll probably be asked to explain, so make sure you're using these terms. So we can see that square A is congruent to square C. This one might look like a diamond, but if you turn it sideways, it is in fact, and it tells us it is a square. And we have to pick square C because it's the same size. B is also a square, but not the same size. So then lastly, on example 3, using congruent figures, when we give you the measures on one, you can apply that to the other. So this one's a pretty straightforward shape. It's not flipped around or anything like that one on the last page. So what we can tell from our congruent statement that they gave us here, A, B, C, D, and JKLM. So yep, nothing tricky, are congruent. What is the length of side JM? So if we use our congruent statement, that's the first letter to the last. First to last is A to D, which is 10. And again, you're probably like, duh, I could see that. You didn't need to point out these letters. If this were flipped, turned, rotated, reflected, any of those things, and weren't just straight up sitting in the same position, these congruent statements can be really helpful. So that's our answer to A. And what is the perimeter of this? And I'm going to make you go ahead and figure that out. I will at least remind you that perimeter means that you add all of the sides. So that is it for section 2.1. Have a good day. Peace out.